Hi, I am re-recording this for like the fourth time because I ramble too much and I'm not good at talking. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoy my not so good at talking rant thing. So I'm gonna be making two parts this video. I'm going to be discussing my experience in treatment for eating disorders. Because for those of you who are new to my channel, I had issues with eating for a long time, and yeah, the mental health system isn't that great when it comes to any eating disorder. So, yeah, I'm gonna be ranting and calling places out. But anyway, let's get on to the rant. The first part is going to be about the hospital I was staying at, and the second part is going to be about the residential treatment place I was sent to after that. Because there were definitely issues with both that I feel like need to be addressed. But yeah, this all took place about 3 years ago. So it was a while ago, but I assume they're doing things pretty much the same way. But yeah, when I was sent to the hospital, pretty much, for the for the first few weeks, I was in the actual like medical place in the hospital. Like they had me hooked up to like monitors and stuff because I was not healthy, and they wanted to make sure I was not gonna die or anything, so yeah, basically that was just them coming in, like a nurse or whatever coming in every so often, being all like, hey, here's your food, I'll see you in like 30 minutes, bye. And that's pretty much my only interaction with people was. The rest of the time I was just kind of left alone. Just like every couple hours someone would come in, check on my vitals or whatever, and like give me food and stuff, and they were like, yo, you have like 30 minutes to eat this, and if you don't finish it, we'll give you a supplement, and if you don't finish that, we will give you it through a feeding tube, which is pretty standard for most eating disorder treatment processes. I don't know. But I just, it makes me mad how they just kind of left me alone, like all the time. They would talk about like, oh, we'll get you a therapist eventually, but like that never really happened. So I was staying there pretty much on my own for a few weeks, and then they were all like, okay, your vitals aren't okay enough that we can send you down to the psychiatric area of the hospital, which was it was kind of like this weird basement area. I don't know how to describe it. It was just kind of like off to the side, but in the same hospital. And that was not great. It was definitely worse than the actual hospital part. For like the first week or two I was there, I didn't come out of my room. The way they had it set up because of the COVID stuff, people with eating disorders especially, they just kind of had to stay in our room, and we would just kind of come out into the hallway and eat like outside of our rooms because social distancing, and they would just have like some random person come and watch us and make sure we eat, and it was really stressful because they would just be like, oh, we're gonna put this little like pillow on the floor, you just eat right here, and the same rules applied that were in the medical area, you know, you got 30 minutes. If you don't finish that, we'll give you a supplement. If you don't finish that, we'll give you a feeding tube. Which, I don't know, it felt like they didn't care enough, if that makes sense, to, you know, give us an actual area to eat. You know, they were just like, okay guys, eat on the floor, we'll just have like a nurse watch you, and just kind of sit there at this weird like table thing, staring at you while you're all on the floor. So that was kind of, I guess, degrading. But other than that, like after maybe 2 weeks of that, they changed that, and they were like, okay guys, now you guys can eat at a table. And the table switched around multiple times because they were just randomly like, hey, actually this other group is gonna get your spot. So that was pretty annoying, because I don't know, it didn't feel like they were really prioritizing people with eating disorders. They were just kind of throwing us around, it felt like. And yeah, the nurses were, some of them were okay, some of them weren't too bad, but some of them were kind of dicks, you know. For lack of a better term, they were jerks, and that was not ideal at all, because they would be like, hey, you got to eat this, and you know, if we weren't able to finish it, I remember this one time I wasn't able to finish my food, and the girl who's watching us, she was a nurse, and well, nurse supervisor person, I don't know what they're called, but basically a nurse, who I sat there with a piece of paper, and I like proved that her math on giving me the supplement was wrong in front of everyone there, and she was not happy about that. She definitely didn't like me. But it was funny. Everyone there was just kind of giggling about it, because it was pretty funny, because I would just kind of like mess with her a little bit here and there, because she was just a jerk. And yeah, they were really weird about just random things. They wouldn't allow us to drink much water. They would give us like literally like 2 tablespoons of water in like a little plastic cup, like the kind of cup that comes with like cold medicine, and they were like, okay, this is all the water you get with your lunch. And you know, you'd get a few of those a few times a day with our meal, and it probably wasn't even like a full cup of water we were receiving a day. And me and the other people in my group were complaining about it, because we were like, hey, you're complaining about us being dehydrated, and you're like, hey, you gotta stay here for longer because you're so dehydrated. And we're like, well, maybe if you actually gave us, you know, water instead of just like a few drops every hour or whatever, then that wouldn't be an issue. But they were like, no, you can't have water, it's bad for you. And it was really weird. They'd also give us like diet food, which was interesting, because on the rules they had for the eating disorder meal treatment thing, we weren't supposed to have like anything that was like low fat or anything like that. But they would just be like, hey, here's like diet yogurt or whatever. And yeah, I remember like talking to them about it. I'm like, hey, like, you're breaking your own rules. And they were like, shut up. And I was like, okay, but you're breaking your own rules. yeah, so that was stupid. I don't know why they did that. It was just their really dumb logic when it came to things. Yeah, so that wasn't fun. Uh, they didn't really give us access to therapy, like, at all in my experience. Like, I would because it was a group of people with eating issues. There were in my time being there, I was there for about 2 months. There were 3 boys and 2 girls in my group in total. I would be like, hey, why don't we talk about our issues? You know, because we are all struggling with similar things and we should be able to talk about it so we can get better, and then we can leave. And for some reason they were very against us talking about eating disorders at all. Like, I remember one time when one of the girls came in, and she was like new, she like just came in like that day or something. I was all like, hey, like, what are you in for, kind of deal. Just because I was like, oh, another person with eating issues who might understand what I'm going through, so, you know, I don't have to suffer through the annoying treatment alone. I got yelled at because I apparently wasn't allowed to talk about eating disorders in the eating disorder treatment group. So that was annoying. But yeah, I was definitely not happy about that. One thing that definitely made me pretty angry is they wouldn't allow us to take any medication. They would complain that we were really deficient and stuff, because usually people with eating disorders have because they're not eating properly, they don't get all the vitamins and stuff that they need. So yeah, they'd be like, oh, you're like low in iron or whatever, and I remember just being all like, hey, why don't you just give us like supplements or whatever along with our food, so, you know, we could get those things that we're deficient in faster. And they'd be like, no, because that's disordered. And I'm like, I don't get how that's disordered. And they complained a lot because I would have panic attacks, because it was a very stressful situation when you're like in this weird basement place and there's like people screaming and all that shit. You know, it's stressful and it's scary, and they wouldn't give me my anxiety medication, and I remember talking to them multiple times like, hey, I need my medication to you know, it helps me relax and, you know, be able to function somewhat. And they were like, no, you can't have that, that's disordered, because they thought like everything was disordered for some reason, because that was their logic. But yeah, that was really frustrating. I remember one time there was a member of the staff who actually had a history with eating disorders, but she didn't work in the eating disorder group. She worked like the mental health area was split into like 2 floors, I think. I was on the top floor, and I guess she worked on the bottom floor for some reason. They like brought her up one time because I was just crying a lot and stuff, and yeah, that wasn't fun. And I remember ranting to her about how frustrated I was. And I was like, hey, you know, like, they're not helping me, they're not giving me the medication I need, they're not, like, you know, doing things I need. I'm telling people what I need to, you know, function, and what would help me, and they keep denying it. And she was all like, oh yeah, that's frustrating, and I never saw her again. So yeah, they would always be like, don't talk about your problems, wait till therapy. And I only saw like a therapist maybe 3 times out of the like 2 months I was there. And it was like a different therapist each time too. Like I even would request, I'd be like, hey, I need to talk to someone about this. And they'd be like, okay, we'll see when someone's available. It'll probably be like tomorrow or something. And then a week would go by and no one would bother like talking to me. And then sometimes I would just kind of snap and just kind of rant to the staff because I'm like, hey, you know, I'm really ticked off. I'm not happy right now. And they'd be like, okay, well, you're staying here for longer then. And I'm just like, well, now I don't want to talk about my issues because you're just making me feel worse about it. And yeah, it's frustrating. It's not a fun experience. So yeah, that wasn't ideal. Because I was 17 at the time when I was in treatment. The ward I was in was for people younger than 18, so I was like one of the oldest people there. And there were lots of kids there. A lot of them were between the ages of like 4 and I don't know, like 12 roughly, who were just dicks, you know. They were like little shits. But I know that's mean to say, but they were just mean, and the staff would do nothing about it. Like there were this group of kids who they would just let go up to the eating disorder people and just like call them fat and stuff, and they didn't do shit about it. They'd be like, oh, you guys are so fat and disgusting kind of deal, because they knew that that's not a nice thing to say to people with eating issues. And the staff like didn't care about it. They're just like, they just do that a lot, it's whatever. And I don't know, it just ticked me off that they would even let them like do that. Yeah, so that was very frustrating. They wouldn't allow us to use most things we brought in from what I remember. Like because I draw and stuff, I brought in art supplies. I brought in like a sketchbook and like some markers and a couple like pencils and stuff. There wasn't like any sharpener or anything, so I figured it would be fine. And there were like soft felt pens and stuff, and like color pencils and all that fun stuff, so I was like, okay, this shouldn't be an issue. But they took pretty much all of it away from me. They were like, okay, you could only have your sketchbook, but none of your art supplies. And I was not happy about that, because you know, I wanted my art supplies. They were like, it was a big thing for me. It helped me cope with those feelings. And they were like, no, because you can draw on the walls or whatever. And they only allowed us to have Crayola markers. They didn't even allow crayons for some reason. They didn't allow like crayons or colored pencils or anything. So that was really annoying. And pretty much I had to annoy the staff into letting me have my art supplies. Luckily, in my sketchbook they gave back to me, they actually forgot to check the sketchbook, and I had like a pencil in there as like a little bookmark kind of deal. So I did have one pencil, but like I couldn't use it in front of anyone because you know, I didn't want them to take it away. But yeah, I had to annoy the staff into letting me use my coping skill. So that was really annoying. Like, we weren't allowed to have a lot of things for some reason. I remember when I was there, because they didn't usually clean like clothes and stuff very well, they would just kind of like, I don't know, like throw them in the washer. I don't think they were using like soap or anything. I had some family clean out, like, go do some laundry for me. And I remember I put these like jeans in my laundry. They were like one of the clothes, I think I was wearing them or something when I was first admitted. And they were like, I don't know, it was weird. They were like dress coding me, and they were like, no, you can't wear these jeans. And they would say all that stuff, or they'd be like, no, you can't wear this shirt because it's like too revealing or whatever, and it would just be like a regular t-shirt or whatever. And I remember getting mad at staff because they would let the other people who weren't in there for eating disorders pretty much wear whatever. They'd be like letting them wear shorts, crop tops, tank tops, all that stuff. Like, it wasn't an issue. It was only an issue for the people with eating disorders. And that made me really mad, because there were like a bunch of rules that only applied to people who had eating issues. So I felt like that was a little unfair, in my personal opinion. I understand, like, they don't want people wearing super revealing clothes or anything, but like, they were just regular clothes, but for some reason they were a problem. So that was annoying. And yeah. By the way, I didn't mention it before. I think I forgot to mention it in the beginning of this video, but the place I was at was Seattle Children's. But yeah, I hope that they get their shit together and actually learn how to treat people with eating disorders like humans and treat us fairly. I have a couple stories I could tell, like the time that my family got stuck in a room because of a little kid freaking out in there, all that fun stuff. Yeah, it was a lot. Or how they made us eat in a closet for a while. That was not a great experience. But yeah, the list can go on for a long time. But yeah, I hope you enjoy my rant, because yeah, I didn't know what to do a video on, so I figured I'd just rant about shit. So yeah, enjoy. Yeah, I have more art on my Instagram. So yeah, bye for now. Hopefully I will have more videos out soon.